Mr. Connors, the latest poll from Fox News shows that Judge Moore is now behind his Democratic opponent, Doug Jones, by 8 points. Does that comport with your gut feel from the ground?
Not even closely. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't trust any poll right now. Not even closely. First of all, I think the samples included way too many Democrats. If any poll, I just don't believe any polls right now. The ground is totally fluid.
So I was wondering if perhaps the polling data might reflect a reverse Bradley effect, if you follow me here, that if a pollster calls a home in Alabama, maybe the person is for Judge Moore. Maybe they're half of the vote there is evangelical Christian. But you know, you're not going to tell some stranger on the phone because it is suddenly so out of step to say I'm for Judge. So you lie.
Well, I saw that firsthand when I was going door to door in the northern neighborhoods of Cincinnati, Ohio. People who were voting for Trump, this was the same weekend, by the way, the video came out. People who were voting for Trump just didn't really want to say it for multiple reasons, but I guess some of it is they don't want somebody showing up at their door and they don't know, you know, what's going to happen next. They don't want to get labeled. I mean, right now, you can get labeled for these kind of things, and people don't like that. So that's why I don't trust any polling whatsoever right now.
Is it fair to say that the more folks from outside Alabama tell Alabama what they should do, they're probably benefiting Judge Moore? That Mitch McConnell, Paul Ryan, whomever it might be, you know, what side of the it doesn't matter, but you're going to bristle. I think I'd bristle at outsiders telling me how to vote in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much true across the South and the western states in general. I mean, just let us choose our own, and we really don't need to adjudicate this in the Washington Post or CNN. I understand you have to do your job, and you're doing a good job, but this is for Alabama to decide, and ultimately we think that the people and not the media is the best jury.
People forget, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Judge Moore, when running successfully in that 2012 race for Chief Justice, only won by 4 points. I mean, he's never been rock solid. Is that true?
That's not true either, because it goes back to your turnout models. He also enjoyed a, what was it, Obama was running, was it? Yeah.
Right.
So you had tremendous African-American turnout where you will have it this time, but I don't know that you will have the same money on the ground this time as the Obama machine did.
If Judge Moore should be successful, this is a problem for the national GOP insofar as in 2018, every Democrat will link their opponent to Judge Roy Moore. He will essentially become the running mate for every Democrat running anywhere.
I would agree with that, and I don't know that it will work, though. I mean, keep in mind that conservatives and rural voters, traditional voters, and evangelicals are not limited to the state lines of the state of Alabama.
Okay, so you're there and you've got the credentials. Where's this thing headed?
Well, I tell you, the reason I don't know exactly where it's headed, I'll tell you what the strategy is. And let's just take the whole issue of the accusers aside and just talk about the horse race. I think from a Democratic perspective, what they're trying to do is to create enough confusion where they suppress, let's say, suburban Republican voters. In other words, I'm just not going to vote. And that's, I think, what they're hoping to do. That's the part I cannot predict. So if you wanted to do a real poll, I would try to get maybe a focus group looking at Republican voters about this issue. And the question is, will some of them stay home?
But I understand you're giving me a political answer, but you don't expect that voters could keep out of their mind all that investigative reporting from the Post. I mean, whatever the source may have been, a broken clock is right twice a day. You got to look at all the detail in those tales, right? And say, you know, something here.
Well, that's true. This is also a, 4-decade-old just breaking story. It's not like there's an actual piece of hard evidence, and some of the evidence already has been proven questionable as you pull back the skin of the onion. But no, I'm not giving you a political answer. I'm giving you an honest political science answer, and that is, the question is, what will suburban voters do? Republican, will they vote for the continuation of tax reform or the removal of Obamacare? Will they vote for a continuation of a conservative Supreme Court, or will they sit at home? And that's the question I've yet to come up with an answer for.
Yeah, my hunch is that perhaps they should, but none of those things are going to matter as much as the allegations that have been leveled against them. You can have the final word.
I would think just the opposite. I think a lot of people are going to go to the polls and say, I don't like this, I'm confused about this, but I haven't made a conclusion, therefore I'm going to vote to maintain control of the Senate and a conservative Supreme Court. Remember, Kennedy could be up for appointment or replacement here very, very soon.
I know. It just seems kind of odd, though, that we should be, well, for a different day. I was going to say casting a ballot for a candidate who's under attack based on all these allegations because we want him to make a determination as to who should be on the Supreme Court of the United States. There's something not right there.
No. Didn't say that we would have him make that decision. We would say it would be a Republican and a conservative majority make that decision, as opposed to a guaranteed liberal majority.